You and Your Money is brought to you by Kanoo.
Good evening and welcome to You and Your Money. I'm your host, Hubert Edwards. This evening we'll be speaking with the principals of Kanoo. We have with us Mr. Nicholas Rees, the chairman and co-founder, and we have the CEO, Mr. Keith Davies. Gentlemen, welcome to You and Your Money. We're just going to get right into it. The government has recently outlined its strategy in terms of using digital currency. How does this impact financial services and the way transactions are processed going forward? We could start with you, Mr. Rees.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Edwards. It's a pleasure to be here with you and your listeners, and certainly along with my fellow co-founder, Keith Davies, and mentor. We see the implementation of digital currencies as revolutionary and futuristic in terms of we envision it to really reshape the way and manner financial services are delivered across a wide spectrum of industries or sub-industries within the financial sector. And this would span from our vantage point, impacting the payment sector, trading, insurance products, and other specialized financial services that will be developed around the core infrastructure of the CBDC.
So the government has launched this central bank digital currency, Mr. Davies. It's labeled the sand dollar. Can you explain to the listening audience, the persons watching, what exactly is the sand dollar and how does this tie into Kanoo's business model?
Thank you. Hubert, it's a pleasure to be here, along with my co-founder, Nick. The sand dollar is essentially, we refer to it as the central bank digital currency. What does that mean? It is no different than the physical dollar that you have in your wallet today. It acts the same way. It is legal tender. The difference is this digital form of the dollar is stored and exists in a mobile way on your phone. So the transaction of it is able to be moved digitally. So from one phone to the other, from one computer to the other, all digital, all without the need for me and you to be physically in contact. Mm-hmm. So that is what the central bank has created. It's the first ever in the world. We are leading the world in the development of this technology. And so what Kanoo has done is that we've integrated Sand Dollar throughout our entire platform. So that means that when you become a Kanoo customer or a Kanoo merchant, you have the ability to add a Sand Dollar capability to your ability to spend and to receive monies. And so very simply, at the end of the day, people need to understand that it is nothing more than money legal tender, and you can transact with it electronically.
I think that leads us right into this very important position. We have seen in recent times a reduction, a retrenchment of commercial banks within the family of islands. And we know that we have merchants, we have customers, and individuals who need those services. How does Kanoo play into that situation? Is there a vacuum within which you can now slide into to provide and to fill the services which are missing as a result of the movement of the commercial banks?
Absolutely. Understand that if you're on the family islands, you have limited access already to various services, banking being one of them. So you need a way in which to transact with persons on other islands as well as persons within the island. And just imagine for a second, if you can have a situation where an individual has their phone only and can receive funds in the form of sand dollar, can then pay a merchant on the island in sand dollar. That merchant can pay the shipper, the distributor, the grocer, or some other vendor in New Providence or some other island, all from their phone. This is the capabilities that Kanoo provides. We empower the merchant to receive monies and to pay out monies to other suppliers. We empower the individual to receive those sand dollars and to spend those sand dollars in any way they see fit with any merchant that exists on the island as well.
Yeah. So, Mr. Rees, in addition to the points just made by Mr. Davies, Kanoo is essentially a mobile wallet, generally speaking. What are some of the other features, or do you have unique features which provide additional value? Basically, what is that added value proposition that Kanoo bring to the market for its consumers?
So Kanoo at its heart and soul is really what we call a super app, meaning that it's an application that you can go to and get a wide variety of services. We joke internally and we tell ourselves that, or we say amongst ourselves that we're a marketing company that happens to have a payment engine and a bank switch, because we don't just want to enable the payment technology and the ability for you to transact digitally, but now that you're transacting digitally, how can we help the business make more money at the end of the day? And so we are feature rich with the marketing tools, the digital engagement tools that the average business, the small business, can access now to actually drive more sales into their store, and actually engage and market to their customers in a digital manner. I just wanted to add something as it relates to the Family Islands and the core infrastructure, because we are much more than just an app as well. So we give businesses what is called an ARM, or an audience relationship manager. And this audience relationship manager is a web-based tool, much like you would log into your online banking platform on your laptop or your computer, and you would access this portal. And this portal would serve as your interface for all of your transactions, managing your customer audience, engagement, sending messages, everything in 360 degrees placed in one centralized section. And obviously we have segmentation versus, so that you can have various levels of authority within your organization, actually accessing different levels of data.
Definitely. I think we definitely will have to pick up back on that, but we'll have to take a break here. We're speaking with the principals from Kanoo, Mr. Nicholas Rees and Keith Davies. You're listening to You and Your Money, and we will come right back and we'll have further conversation. We have further questions for these individuals on the Kanoo product.
Sand dollar is the new digital Bahamian dollar created by the Central Bank of the Bahamas. It's just like physical cash, but safer and more convenient. Plus, the various Sand dollar enabled apps are secure and easy to use on any Android or iOS device. Use Sand dollar for your personal and business transactions, whether by QR code, a short name, or even your Sand dollar card. You can send and receive Sand dollars safely with just a touch of a button. Sand dollar, the digital Bahamian dollar.
Tune in to Bahamas at Sunrise, the nation's only live morning show, 6:30 a.m. Mondays and Fridays, and again at 8 a.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and 9 a.m. on Saturdays. Get your weather, fresh talk, engaging conversation, and lively performances with hosts Anastasia Palacios and Phil Simon. Wake up with Bahamas at Sunrise.
And welcome back to You and Your Money. I'm your host, Hubert Edwards. I'm here having a conversation with Mr. Nicholas Rees, the chairman and co-founder of Kanoo, and also the CEO, Mr. Keith Davies. When we went out in the last section, we're talking about some of the unique features of the Kanoo app. And Ms. Rees, you were taking us through a multiplicity of offering, which you indicate, represents the value proposition. I just wanted you to extend that discussion against this backdrop, that as a business owner, what would be the advantages of me coming on or becoming a Kanoo merchant? So if you can answer that by extending the points you were making earlier.
So in the first instance, the advantage is easily accessing digital payments. Once you become a Kanoo merchant, you have access to a free API that you can plug into your website that allows you to sell all of your products and services on your own website, and be able to accept not only Visa, MasterCard, and American Express, but also the Sand Dollar. And so we are the only company today that I know of that is offering the ability to receive online payment via Sand Dollar. So that is the off the top, the number one benefit: be able to accept the digital payments in your own website. And if you don't have a website, you can populate what's called a single site connect zone, which basically puts up your product page, and you can still engage in e-commerce in a digital environment. The other follow-on advantages would be all of the marketing benefits. Obviously the ability to message your client base, know who your client base are, be able to incentivize them through gift cards, coupons, and other incentives to bring them into the store. And our digital gifting is bar none the best in the world. I will go on record, Keith, to say that our digital gifting platform is the best in the world. And this has not only been said by us, this has been said by international persons that have seen what we're doing with that. So basically, if I have I'm on the island of Andros and I sell fish. I go out every week and I catch fish, and I want to sell my catch every week. What I can do is I can go into my arm and I can send out gift cards. I can populate it. I can advertise it right into the app to the thousands of users that are already in the app. And I can say, here's a $5 gift card. This is a $5 gift card for a batch of snapper. Buy it now, you get extra 10% off. So all of these marketing tools and incentives that we give the small business, the average business owner, we give them the power to prosper. So Kanoo is all about making life easier for Bahamians and bringing the tools that are accessible to the large business. We want to bring that to the small and medium-sized businesses so that to enable them to take advantage of the digital world that is unfolding.
Definitely. As we look across the landscape, we see where Kanoo obviously is making strides and moving forward, seeking to be a leader in the sector. Mr. Davies, what are some of the key sectors which you have seen growth, significant growth, added growth, incremental growth since you have launched?
That's difficult to say, Hubert, because at the end of the day, if you are in business, whether you're selling a product or a service, Kanoo is for you. Mm-hmm. We provide you with the tools. And I mean, Nicholas said it well. I mean, we break it down into three categories. We talk about creating awareness, driving sales, and then building customer loyalty. As an organization, particularly a small to medium-sized organization, you're challenged to reach out and get yourself known to the various persons who you would want to come into your store. And so what Kanoo does at all levels, at all sectors, whether it be retail or otherwise, we allow those individuals to reach out and touch customers. Before, at times, you would sit and aggressively wait by the door for someone to come in. As you know, that doesn't work. So what Kanoo does is we give you the tools to allow you to engage and create that awareness to let the public know who you are, what you have, and how they can reach you. Now, what that's going to do is that's going to increase your sales. And what's the purpose of all businesses? You're in business to make money unless you're a charity. So let's be real here. Let's get people in your store. Let's get them engaging you. And of course, once they come in, you've got to find a way to keep touching them. And so all of those elements Kanoo brings to the forefront. And so there's not just one. There are multiplicity or multiple entities, multiple sectors that we touch all the time.
I think you have effectively explained this thing which Mr. Rees mentioned of being a marketing company with a banking switch. We would have gotten, between the explanation you just gave and what we got from him earlier, a clear delineation of what the marketing aspect is. So let's take, in the next 2 minutes, the marketing switch. How does an individual who wants to be a part of the Kanoo family appreciate that aspect of it with you having a banking switch?
Well, I think it's allowing them to understand the connection. It's like a light bulb goes off when we talk to merchants. And the first thing you have to do as a company is, I always say this, and I drill this into my colleagues and our staff members. You meet people where they are. And what does that mean? You may have a website. You may have a stall on the side of the road. You may have multiple sites and locations. Well, what we do is we come behind all of that and say, here is how you can monetize your customers. Here's how you can enhance your business. Here's how you can integrate our technology to allow you to, as Nick said, give you the power to prosper. From an organizational standpoint, but we spent a lot of time figuring out who we are, what we are, and what we need to be. And we have a brand vision, which is to make life better for Bahamians. And to do that, we allow people to handle money at the speed of life. Those two simple things. If you follow those principles and you deliver those things for Kanoo, you begin to see who we are, what we are, and why we've been able to achieve what we've been able to achieve to date.
So an app with a marketing thrust, with a banking switch, which allows you to operate money at the speed of life. And so that is the position from Mr. Davies and Mr. Nicholas Rees. We're going to take a break here, and when we come back, we're going to get into some broader discussion. What about your regional ambitions? What about your global ambitions? You're watching You and Your Money. I'm your host, Hubert Edwards. Don't move. Come right back.
Tune in to Bahamas at Sunrise, the nation's only live morning show. 6:30 a.m. Mondays and Fridays, and again at 8 a.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and 9 a.m. on Saturdays. Get your weather, fresh talk, engaging conversation, and lively performances with hosts Anastasia Palacios and Phil Simon. Wake up with Bahamas at Sunrise.
Sand dollar is the new digital Bahamian dollar created by the Central Bank of the Bahamas. It's just like physical cash, but safer and more convenient. Plus, the various Sand dollar enabled apps are secure and easy to use on any Android or iOS device. Use Sand dollar for your personal and business transactions, whether by QR code, a short name, or even your Sand dollar card. You can send and receive Sand dollar safely with just a touch of a button. Sand dollar, the digital Bahamian dollar.
Welcome back to You and Your Money. So far, we've been having this wonderful conversation with the principals of Kanoo, Nicholas Rees and Keith Davies. And we've heard a lot about the app. We have heard a lot about what it can do, the facilities, and how it operates within the domestic fair. Now, we want to ask you, Mr. Rees, what are your potential ambition on a regional basis? Do you have any potential ambition for moving into the international arena as far as Kanoo is concerned?
Absolutely. And so this was always the vision and the intention of Kanoo. And when we came together to formalize this, and we've actually, the name itself has a lot to do with our vision for international expansion. We wanted something that was uniquely Bahamian, but was broad enough that we could expand it in international markets. So right now, we're actually ramping up efforts to, we wanted to solidify our base firmly in the Bahamas, and get the technology out, get it tested, because as you mentioned before, you can see we're very robust and broad in the service delivery of the digitization services that we offer for the businesses. So it really all comes down to what's called an ecosystem. So that's essentially what we have, is an ecosystem, and there are various tools to engage in this ecosystem. And so we envision very rapidly and aggressively this year expanding into at least 2 additional territories, with the core focus being on the Caribbean and then the Latin American, Central and South America. So we are actively engaged with a number of groups that would like to partner with us and expand the technology throughout the various regions.
Okay, that's good news. We know that there are many Bahamians who may be still hesitant about getting into this digital realm, using digital wallets and so on. How would you allay the fears of any person out there who is thinking, well, maybe there's some security concerns there. I'm not so sure. Am I going to be able to keep my money? Will it disappear? How do you set that individual mind at ease? Mr. Davies?
Well, it's interesting. That's the second question we get whenever we approach anyone. They say, well, who are you? Is my money safe? And it's a valid question, and one that they must and should ask. There's several layers to this to answer this. The first and foremost is that we are a regulated entity. We're an authorized financial institution regulated by the Central Bank of the Bahamas. Therefore, if you have a level of trust in your banking institutions, we are regulated the same way, and we are under the same requirements as those banking institutions, as a financial institution. Therefore, all of the safety measures, reporting requirements, and disclosure requirements that they have, we equally have. So there's that level of protection. The second thing I would point to is that we have something called the Kanoo spec. It's our core values, and it stands for security, prosperity, empowerment, and convenience. If you notice, the first word there was security. You must ensure that when you deal with persons' funds, their money, that it is secure. So as part of our licensing requirement, we've had to do any number of tests, demonstrate our capabilities, security profiles, et cetera, to convince the regulator, the central bank, that we are capable of being able to deliver on what we are required to do from a security standpoint. And I would also add, in order to be a part of the sand dollar, we went through a very rigorous security profile and evaluation, which we passed. And therefore, that is required to be maintained on an annual basis to ensure that you meet the highest standards as it relates to security. So I think persons just speaking on that level should have a fair degree of confidence, knowing that Kanoo meets those international standards that you would expect from like a Visa, MasterCard, or American Express. We match and equal those in that regard.
And that's a good point to ask this question. As a value proposition, when you hear about international payment options, payment process, definitely the ones you just mentioned come to mind. You have MasterCard, Visa, Cash App. How would Kanoo compare, not just simply on the security side, but how does Kanoo compare since you have these regional and international ambitions?
So yeah, I'll dive into that a bit. When we created Kanoo, we're a true fintech company. So we self-develop and deploy our technology. When we crafted our vision and designed the schematic for our ecosystem, we fashioned ourselves after the likes of Paytm and WeChat. We see Paytm and WeChat as our competitors. We have prepared for that, and we see ourselves as strategically positioned geographically within the region to take advantage of this space, island hopping per se, if you like to use that terminology, using our relationships throughout the region to kind of tie up this region, and we feel as though we have a significant advantage geographically from those entities. But I will say this: Paytm, WeChat are true ecosystem-based technologies, which we envision ourselves, as I mentioned, we consider ourselves a super app, which is not just an app to make payments.
So definitely.
So as we
Go ahead. So definitely you are, really comparable with the best that there is out there.
Yes, so we intentionally designed and invested in the system to make ourselves competitive with the international companies, because we see ourselves as an international brand expanding internationally, and we will be competing with the likes of the Paytm, the WeChat, the Alipay. And so what is important to note is that in payments, there are many different methodologies or delivery mechanisms for payment types based on a particular scenario.
Definitely. Unfortunately, as these things go, we always clean out of time. So I'll give you 60 seconds each, 30 seconds each, just to let the general public know if they want to become a part of the Kanoo family, how they can do that. Very quickly, Mr. Davies.
Well, first of all, go to our website, www.kanoopays.com, and there's a wealth of information there in terms of what we do, how we do it, and how you can reach us, including we have multiple social media channels, whether it be LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I believe we even have a TikTok now, and other channels that persons can reach us. I think that individuals should take a look. I always tell persons, investigate, review, analyze, and make an informed decision. We are confident that when making that decision, Kanoo will be the choice for you as it relates to your business and engaging your customers and seeking payments and other things for them.
Okay, thank you. You now have 10 seconds, Mr. Rees, since Mr. Davies took your 20.
I would just follow up on what Mr. Davies said, and I would say inspect what you expect. Please look under the hood, download Kanoo, check us out, and let us know for yourself what you feel and what you think, because we feel as though we've delivered something great for the Bahamas that Bahamians can be proud of.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. We were speaking with the principals of Kanoo, the chairman and co-founder, Mr. Nicholas Rees, and the CEO, Mr. Keith Davies. You have been watching You and Your Money. I'm your host, Hubert Edwards. It's certainly a pleasure bringing you this segment. Good evening.